You know, um, if you think about how ships used to navigate centuries ago, it was all about dead reckoning.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you looked at the stars, you guessed your speed based on the wind, and you basically just hoped you didn't hit a reef in the dark. It was entirely reactive.
Yeah, you only knew you were in real trouble when you actually heard the wood scraping against the rocks down below deck, which is terrifying.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And the thing is, for a very long time, global supply chains operated on that exact same principle of corporate dead reckoning.
Right. You managed your suppliers based on, historical spreadsheets. You tried your hardest to just keep immediate costs down.
Yeah, and you dealt with massive disruptions only after the factory had already shut down
Yeah.
or the cargo ship was already stuck in a canal somewhere.
Right. But then you step into the world of modern procurement, and suddenly that old wooden ship has been replaced by a starship.
It really has. So, welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at a massive paradigm shift today. It is late April 2026, and the biggest minds in the global supply chain have just wrapped up the ISM World Conference in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, and we have been monitoring these events and tracking these advanced purchasing trends for years, really specifically to synthesize this data for corporate managers.
Right.
The goal here is to take that massive, I think it was 102 session agenda from Denver, look at the historical trajectory, and build a clear, actionable roadmap for you.
Yeah, our mission today is to uncover a reality that is playing out across every major industry right now. Procurement is no longer just a cost-cutting function locked away in a back office.
No, not at all.
It is evolving into this strategic operating system that drives core business value and innovation. So whether you're a procurement manager, a supply manager, or a logistics manager, we're going to break down these incredibly complex global trends into plain, easy-to-understand English.
Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet for what comes next in your daily role.
Exactly. But to really grasp why the 2026 agenda looks the way it does, I mean, we had to look at the timeline of evolution.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The industry's focus has whiplashed so dramatically over the last few years.
It really has. Let's travel back in time for just a second. Think about the early 2020s,
Total chaos.
right? The focus was purely on survival. It was all about dealing with pandemic shutdowns, fighting for the most basic visibility, and managing short-term supply disruptions.
Yeah, you just needed to know if your stuff was actually on a truck. That was a win.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Then we moved into 2025. The panic had settled a little bit,
Right.
and the focus shifted heavily to efficiency and optimization.
Right. Companies were looking at post-pandemic restructuring. They were dealing with massive inflation and rolling out these early pilot programs for artificial intelligence to automate simple, repetitive processes.
Which brings us to the reality of 2026, the era of the AI brain.
Yeah, because today we are facing severe inflation, fierce technological competition, and incredibly complex geopolitical clashes.
Oh, yeah.
Consequently, AI and digital innovation absolutely dominated the conversation in Denver. I mean, it was easily 30% of the whole agenda. But the nature of that technology has fundamentally changed from those early 2025 pilot programs.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when people hear AI and procurement, they usually think of simple automation, right? Like robotic process automation or RPA.
Right, the basic stuff.
Yeah, and that is like setting your car on cruise control. It will keep a steady speed, sure, but only if the highway is perfectly straight, the weather is clear, and there is absolutely no traffic.
Exactly. But what the sessions at this conference sessions, like agentic AI and procurement and from procurement friction to procurement foresight, what they are talking about is completely different.
Well, it's the shift.
We are moving from that basic scripted automation to agentic AI.
Agentic AI. Okay, so staying with the car analogy, agentic AI is not cruise control.
Not at all.
It is a fully autonomous self-driving car. It's navigating heavy traffic, recalculating routes the moment there's a roadblock, and it's actually rolling down the window and negotiating the toll prices along the way without you ever having to touch the steering wheel.
What's fascinating here is that it goes even further than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, imagine that self-driving car isn't just negotiating the toll. It is anticipating a traffic jam 50 miles ahead based on weather data and deciding to buy access to a private side road before the prices even surge.
Wow.
Right. Agentic AI acts as an independent entity. It doesn't just read data, it self-learns and it executes. It conducts complex supplier negotiations completely on its own.
Wait, let's look at the mechanics of that for a second. How does an AI actually negotiate with a supplier without just instantly demanding the lowest possible number and, totally ruining the relationship?
Well, it pulls in a massive matrix of variables in milliseconds. Let's say it is sourcing industrial steel. It doesn't just haggle over yesterday's invoice price. The agent is pulling real-time weather data for shipping routes, upcoming tariff legislation deadlines, and the historic defect rates of that specific supplier.
All at once.
All at once. It calculates a comprehensive value score and then counters the supplier's offer based on future operational risk, not just today's sticker price.
That's wild.
AI has completely shifted from being a digital assistant to the core intelligent brain of the supply chain.
It's gathering the intel, analyzing it, planning the strategy, and executing the buy with zero human intervention.
Precisely.
But that creates a massive glaring dilemma, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If this intelligent agent is taking over the baseline sourcing, the quoting, and these highly complex price negotiations, what on earth is the human professional supposed to do?
That is the big question. It forces a total redefinition of the human role in procurement. Because the AI is handling the baseline data and the transactional negotiations, human professionals have to pivot to managing the things machines still really struggle to quantify.
Which is what exactly?
Namely, an unprecedented, chaotic web of global risks.
Ah, right. Risk and resilience. Those words were everywhere on this agenda.
Everywhere, like 25% of the sessions touched on it.
And just like the technology has evolved, the approach to risk has completely transformed too. It used to be reactive. You worried about an inventory shortage at a warehouse or maybe a labor strike at a specific port.
Yeah, very localized issues.
Now the threat landscape is so broad it almost feels overwhelming.
We are looking at predictive, holistic risk management now. The conference sessions hammered home these massive external factors. I mean, you have sophisticated cyber threats targeting your tier 3 suppliers.
Right.
You have climate vulnerabilities that can literally dry up shipping canals overnight. And of course, you have wildly unpredictable geopolitical conflicts.
Yeah, sessions like the Tariff-Era Survival Kit and the Middle East conflict as a supply chain stress test really stood out to us. And, just to be perfectly clear to you listening, the conference wasn't taking any sort of political stance on these issues, and neither are we.
No, definitely not.
The fundamental takeaway is that modern supply chains must view geopolitical realities, border closures, and sudden tariffs as critical, ever-changing data variables. You can't debate them. You just have to prepare for them in real time.
Exactly. And it requires absolute visibility across the entire enterprise to survive that kind of volatility, which actually forces the next massive shift we saw in Denver.
Process reengineering and orchestration.
Yes. RIST is no longer confined to the supply chain department. It bridges finance, legal, operations, and product design. Procurement's mandate is shifting from simply answering what to buy to answering how to create value.
So procurement is being asked to act as the unified orchestrator of all these deeply entrenched departments.
Right.
They are breaking down the traditional silos. They are managing TCO, total cost of ownership, focusing on all those hidden costs.
Yeah, the sudden taxes, the potential tariffs.
The carbon footprint of moving that item halfway across the world. I mean, there was a dedicated session on this called Total Cost Solution with AimDrive AI.
Because the visible price on the contract is usually only a fraction of the actual cost the business is going to absorb over the life cycle of that product.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. If I am suddenly responsible for orchestrating legal risks, running financial models, and tracking environmental impacts across the globe, aren't I just going to be stepping on every other department's toes?
Well,
I mean, how does a procurement manager act as this grand orchestrator without just becoming an annoying internal police force that constantly tells engineering or legal what they're doing wrong?
right, that is a very common fear.
Mm-hmm.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the solution lies in viewing the supply chain through two distinct lenses. You have physical flows and non-physical flows.
Okay, break that down.
The physical flow is the traditional logistics, right? Moving physical boxes of components from point A to point B.
Yeah.
The non-physical flow includes the finance, the regulations, the climate impact, the labor compliance. Managing this dual flow isn't about policing other departments.
So it's less like an orchestra conductor telling people how to play their instruments and more like the air traffic controller at O'Hare Airport.
Oh, I like that.
You don't fly the legal plane, fly the finance plane.
Right.
But if you don't sequence how they land together in your overall procurement strategy, the whole runway shuts down.
That is the perfect way to look at it. You are integrating their insights into the purchasing decision from day one. It means treating ESG goals and geopolitical risk not as a lowest cost problem that you just have to solve, but as an essential investment.
Right. Yeah.
You are sequencing these non-physical elements to create top-tier resilience and value for the company.
And to successfully become that air traffic controller, the way we measure success has to completely change.
It has to, yeah.
If you are suddenly orchestrating all these global, non-physical risks, you inevitably hit the biggest physical risk of all, which is climate. The conversation at ISM naturally evolved into how to turn environmental compliance from a costly headache into a competitive weapon.
Absolutely. Sustainability and talent leadership were major pillars of the agenda. The consensus was that ESG is no longer just a box you check for government regulators.
Right.
If executed correctly, it is a revenue-generating resource.
Yeah, sessions like the Resilience Premium and From Waste to Worth really drove this home. If you build a sustainable, resilient supply chain, it actually commands a premium in the open market.
Exactly. Customers and investors will pay more for guaranteed stability and clean sourcing.
Which means the old traditional metric of YTD savings year-to-date cost-cutting is officially dead.
Dead and buried. If your primary contribution to the executive board is showing how much money you shaved off a spreadsheet, you are actively falling behind.
The new core metrics are about process improvement, achieving those sustainability goals, and opening new markets by mitigating risk.
Yep.
I mean, there was literally a session titled Ditch Cost, Deliver Value. And this has profound everyday implications for the people listening to us right now. Let's break down the how for our listeners, starting with procurement managers.
Sure. If you are a procurement manager, you are facing the direct, immediate reality of agentic AI replacing your traditional, quote, comparisons.
Right.
Your daily routine has to pivot to data-driven negotiation. You have to combine that total cost of ownership with ESG factors to negotiate based on total value.
And crucially, you have to master the ability to interpret and verify the complex outputs of these AI agents.
Yes, this is huge.
Because if the AI spits out a recommendation to switch suppliers based on a projected weather pattern in Southeast Asia, you need to be able to audit that logic. You are the human safety net.
Exactly. You are managing the parameters of the AI, ensuring its models actually align with the broader corporate strategy. Now, if you are a supply manager, your daily challenge is slightly different.
How so?
You are dealing with the sheer difficulty of making systemic decisions amidst all these unpredictable global risks we just talked about.
Ah, right. For supply managers, one of the big actionable takeaways was the need to form cross-functional risk councils within your company.
Yeah.
You have to bring engineering, finance, and legal to the table regularly. Which sounds great on paper, but let's be honest. If there is one thing every large company needs to move faster, it's a brand new council meeting every Tuesday.
Right, another meeting, just what everyone wants.
Jokes aside, how did these councils avoid becoming just another bureaucratic bottleneck?
By changing the fundamental way they view assets, historically, these departments viewed inventory as a negative operating cost, right? Like it's just cash tied up in a warehouse.
Yeah, liability.
But in this high-risk environment, these councils have to use their collective data to view inventory as a strategic buffer. It is your armor against disruption.
I see.
The council doesn't meet to debate pennies. They meet to decide how thick that armor needs to be based on the current geopolitical climate.
It is about systemic alignment. And finally, let's look at logistics managers. They are highly vulnerable to massive macroeconomic variables.
Very much so.
Things like ocean freight rates, trucking fees, and port availability that fluctuate wildly by the hour.
For logistics managers, the days of just finding the shortest, cheapest route on a map are long gone. The mandate now is to utilize digital twin-based simulations.
Wait, let's actually walk through how a digital twin works in a crisis.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a fancy 3D model, right?
No. It is a virtual, real-time replica of your entire physical supply chain.
Okay.
It's fed continuously by Internet of Things sensors and API data from cargo ships, warehouses, and weather satellites.
Oh, okay.
Let's say there is a sudden labor strike at the port of Rotterdam. In the past, you would scramble, you'd make a dozen phone calls, and you'd essentially guess the best alternative.
Right. But with the digital twin.
The digital twin instantly simulates rerouting your specific shipments through Antwerp or maybe Hamburg. It calculates the extra freight cost, factors in the current queue times of those alternative ports, weighs that against the financial penalty of delaying the product to the end customer, and executes the optimal choice in real time.
Wow.
It is a constant, mathematically perfect juggling act of cost, time, and risk.
So what does this all mean? When we look at this whole picture, the agentic AI doing the complex buying, the digital twins running real-time simulations during a port strike, the massive geopolitical data sets being ingested automatically are technical hard skills becoming obsolete for humans.
That's the fear, right?
Yeah. Do we just let the machines do the complex math while we sit back and watch the dashboards?
That is the existential question surrounding human talent right now. And the answer from the conference is that hard technical skills are absolutely still necessary, but their purpose has completely changed.
Meaning?
You need deep technical knowledge to understand the AI's complex models. If you do not understand how the system weights different variables, you cannot verify if it is making a strategically sound decision or if it's just hallucinating a false pattern.
Because the machine will always be infinitely faster at the technical execution.
Always. Therefore, the ultimate human core competencies, the skills that will actually get you promoted in 2026, are what we traditionally dismissed as soft skills. It is about creative lateral problem solving when an entirely unprecedented crisis hits that the AI has absolutely no historical data for.
Right.
It is about presenting a clear, calming vision amidst chaos.
And most importantly, it is about persuading skeptical stakeholders across those different departments we talked about.
Yes, exactly.
A key session covering this was Unlock Your Leadership Quotient. Your ability to communicate and bridge the gap between the AI's raw data output and the human board of directors is your absolute greatest asset now.
Because the AI can find the optimal route, but you have to convince the CFO to actually pay for it. It is fascinating to step back and see how this journey has played out. We have gone from the desperate survival and cost-cutting days of the early 2020s through the basic RPA automation phase of 2025 right into today's reality. The supply chain professional of 2026 is a strategic orchestrator.
You are leveraging agentic AI to navigate an incredibly volatile web of global risks, and in doing so, you are driving real, measurable top-line value for the entire enterprise.
You are no longer just buyers or movers of goods. You are the architects securing the future viability of the company.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We spent this time breaking down the realities of 2026, but the conference agenda also gave us a very clear glimpse into the projections for 2027 and beyond.
Yeah, the leading voices are hinting at a near future defined by sustainable hyperintelligence.
Sustainable hyperintelligence. That sounds intense.
It is. In that projected future, AI is no longer viewed as a special competitive tool. It is just the basic underlying infrastructure of business, much like electricity or the internet today.
Right. Everyone will have it.
Everyone. So where does the competitive advantage come from? Climate and resource management become the absolute top priority, and the ultimate metric of corporate success evolved into something called TCV. Total circular value.
Total circular value. So mechanistically, that means it is not just about tracking the cost and carbon footprint from the creation of a product to its disposal.
No, it goes much further.
It is about how the entire life cycle of a product loops back into a sustainable, intelligent economy. Does the product disassemble easily? Can the raw materials be autonomously resourced back into your own supply chain by the AI?
Exactly. It is a closed, intelligent loop.
So, we leave you with this question to explore on your own. As agentic AI completely takes over the mechanical day-to-day act of buying, and as circular sustainability becomes the ultimate driving goal of the entire enterprise. Wait, no, as it becomes the main goal, will the traditional procurement department even exist in 5 years as a separate entity?
That's the million-dollar question.
Or will it simply dissolve those old departmental silos entirely, absorbing finance and compliance to become the central value creation engine of the business? It's a massive shift.
It really is.
But the people who learn to act as the air traffic controllers of that value today will be the ones who lead the companies of tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep orchestrating, keep creating value, and we will see you next time.